And that's why I'm passing my crown over to you.
Wait, you could just pass these things down?
Well, yeah.
That doesn't make much sense. These all-powerful dark helmets can be passed down to anyone?
Yep.
Then what's that dark shadow behind you?
Don't worry about it. Make people worship you and whatever. Bye.
See, that's the exact reason why I wear a cross. Do you know what the word cult means? Well, in the early 16th century, it just meant worship or religious practice, but the word slowly morphed into a word with a darker or sinister meaning by the 1970s, usually now meaning the worship of an idea, person, or thing that is seemingly false. And the idea of the modern cult only grew with the rise of charismatic leaders offering a way to salvation through them, often isolating them from their family and friends, and sometimes demanding that they don't even interact with quote-unquote outsiders. But what do we do when we're thrown into the position of becoming a cult leader? See, Cult of the Lamb is a game from Devolver Digital that happens to be a roguelike with a people simulator. You're a little lammy who gets to control nearly every aspect of a cult, decorate it however you see fit, and more. Except you're required to do it all under the rule of an ominous figure, the one who waits. A figure who brought you here when you were prophesied to destroy the old faith. See, originally the Lamb was prophesied to bring down the old faith, and in response, the bishops, these giant Cthulhu-like deities, run a crusade destroying anyone who fit the prophecy's description. While at the end of the game you successfully do so, one character that you meet stands out, and that happens to be Ratau. He shows you how to run a cult and everything, but after that he retires to a cabin where you can play knucklebones with him at any time. But what if I told you this little rat was the real reason the old faith was destroyed, and not the Lamb nor the one who waits? Well, fellow overthinkers, welcome to Animated Cartoon Conspiracy Theory as we unravel the truth behind Ratau and the destruction of the old faith. But before we can understand how Ratau plays his part, we must go over what the Old Faith is and all of the bishops. Say the Old Faith consisted of 5 bishops, that being Leshy, Heket, Kalamar, Shimura, and the one who waits. And if you haven't noticed, on each of their heads they don a crown, just like the one you wear and the false one that Ratau wears on his head. And not only do each of the bishops wear a crown, but they each have a witness and a cult themselves. And each one of these bishops, cults, and witnesses have their own respective realm that they control. This is the power that creates the Old Faith. But was the Old Faith the only faith there was? Take a wild guess, but the answer is no. In this world, there were many mini cults and faiths on this island. You have the cult of the mushroom people that follow Sozo, the cult of the lighthouse, and even the cult of money at the Midas Cave. But the major faith that we see is the one of the crowns that is dubbed the Old Faith. A misleading title in my opinion, as there were many other faiths prior to this one. And the character that clues us in that the Old Faith wasn't the only major faith is Haro. And I promise this all ties back into Ratau. But Haro is very suspicious as a character himself, randomly appearing after defeating the bishops, telling a tale that intertwines with the main story. One of the most important bits that he says goes like this: "Eons agone, these lands were rife with gods and their adherents. What befell this pantheon? Alas, 'tis the nature of beasts to be forgotten and be forgot. Mayhap they left, mayhap they slept, mayhap they devoured and were devoured. In turn, those few who remain spread roots, spun webs, molded this world to meet them and theirs. 'Twere a land of many gods once, hundreds. Now, take a look at the last sentence. It says 'twere a land of many gods, once hundreds. These old gods and faiths lost to the power of the old faith. But wait, where did the crowns come from? If there were many gods before them, there should be a ton of crowns, right? That's where we meet Kamek. While everyone has a crown, from the bishops to the Lamb, Haro, and even to Kamek, the crown seemed to give unimaginable power to all of the bishops. It's implied in the story that Haro has somehow conquered his crown, symbolized with an X where an I should be, also with his inverted color scheme that matches the bishops. But Kamek is way different. In fact, Kamek created the crowns that the bishops wear. Additionally, her brothers Klonek and Kunai have some of the same abilities as her. They both create weapons and tools for the gods to use. Kunai, the yellow one, even mentions they were the last of the first gods. But it's not until a random dialogue from Kamek that the crown's mystery is revealed. She says this: "Do you like my crown? Made by Kamek. Out of what?" This not only shows that Kamek made the crowns, but also created the one that Kamek wears. But what does this all have to do with Ratau, our mentor, our Knucklebones friend? How does the fall of the old faith start with him? Well, the bishops have a history. See, Narander, or the one who waits, betrayed his other 4 siblings for more power, mainly because his realm of power was that of death, a realm that does not change, which was the only thing he ever desired. Unlike his bishop brothers, where Leshy was over order and chaos, Heket was famine, Kalamar was pestilence, and Shamora was war and conquest. And because of Narander's desire for change, Shamora admired Narander, so much so that they gifted Narander a red crown. Narander began breaking the laws that even gods must follow, and the bishops, seeing their mistake, committed a ritual to lock Narander away forever. Leshy lost his eyes, Heket lost her throat, Kalamar lost his ears, and Shamora lost their head. This locked away the one who waits away in the realm of death. But before doing so, the bishops destroyed all the lambs due to the prophecy I mentioned before, that the lamb would be the final vessel that would bring down the old faith. But even though Narander picked you to wear his crown, at the beginning of the game you were fated to be sacrificed so that Narander would be brought back to the real world. But if you were to be sacrificed, shouldn't the person before you have completed this task? Well, that's because Ratau not only evaded his fate, but attempted to use you to take his. See, throughout the game there's this special fox character hiding in different parts of the island, and if you find these hiding spots, he will ask you to sacrifice a follower. The more times you meet him, the more followers he asks you to sacrifice. But it's not until the last and final request he asks you to give him something specific, saying,
"Give Ratau's death to me. What say you?"
If you sacrifice Ratau to the fox, the one who waits chimes in and states that
he renounced his position after striking a bargain that resulted in the sacrifice of a follower. He was weak and allowed my temple to descend into ruin.
So was Ratau betrayed? Yes and no. See, Ratau actively left his position after making a bargain which I believe was to hide from death itself. All of his friends were saying that he was so good. Narander says that he could barely stand sacrificing a follower. Even Ratau wanted peace, which is why he was unfit for the job. But I believe at some point, Ratau learned of the prophecy about you and how you'd be the last vessel, how you would put an end to the old faith. So he took a gamble, something he's known to do, and sacrificed a follower to hide himself from the fox, otherwise known as death, and hope that you would finally put an end to it all. And you do. He's proud of what you did and that you were able to do what he could never do. But in the end, you sacrifice him anyways, doing away with his failures alongside of the old faith. But is that a coincidence? I think not. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button and that follow button, and why not check out the other theories. On the left, you'll find the conspiracy of the Crush House, or check out our playlist of Let's Plays. And I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye!